Welcome to Spiritual Calisthenics. Christ is in our midst. On November 9th, we commemorate St. Nektarius the Wonderworker, Metropolitan of Pentapolis. We also celebrate St. Onesiphorus and Porphyrius of Ephesus, St. Matrona, Abbess of Constantinople, St. Theoktisti of the Isle of Lesbos, St. Simeon the Translator. Even before the movie Man of God, St. Nektarius the Wonderer of Pentapolis, Bishop of Aegina, has been beloved for the entirety of the world for all the time that he has been a saint. St. Nektarius was born in Silivria of Thrace on October 1st, 1846. After putting himself through school in Constantinople with much hard labor, he became a monk on Chios in 1876, receiving the monastic name of Lazarus. Because of his virtue, a year later he was ordained deacon, receiving the new name of Nektarius. Under the patronage of Patriarch Onesiphorus of Alexandria, Nektarius went to Athens to study in 1882, completing his theological studies in 1885. He went to Alexandria, where Patriarch Onesiphorus ordained him priest on March 23, 1886, in the Cathedral of St. Savas, and in August of the same year, in the Church of St. Nicholas in Cairo, made him archimandrite. Archimandrite Nektarius showed much zeal both for preaching the word of God and for the beauty of God's house. He greatly beautified the Church of St. Nicholas in Cairo, and years later, when Nektarius was in Athens, St. Nicholas appeared to him in a dream, embracing him and telling him he was going to exalt him very high. On January 15, 1889, in the same church of St. Nicholas, Nektarius was consecrated Metropolitan of Pentapolis, eastern Libya, which was under the jurisdiction of Alexandria. Although Nektarius' swift ascent to the degrees of ecclesiastical office did not affect his modesty and childlike innocence, it aroused the envy of lesser men, who convinced the elder Sophronius that Nektarius had it in his heart to become patriarch. And the people loved Nektarius. The patriarch was troubled by the slanders. On May 3, 1890, Sophronius relieved Metropolitan Nektarius of his duties. In July of the same year, he commanded Nektarius to leave Egypt. Without seeking to avenge or even to defend himself, the innocent Metropolitan left for Athens, where he found that accusation of immorality had arrived before him. Because his good name had been soiled, he was unable to find a position worthy of a bishop, and in February of 1891 accepted the position of a provincial preacher in Evia. Then, in 1894, he was appointed dean of the Rosarios Ecclesiastical School in Athens. Through his eloquent sermons, his unwearying labors to educate fitting men for the priesthood, his generous alms, deeds despite his own poverty, and the holiness, meekness, and fatherly love that were manifest in him, became a shining light and a spiritual guide to many. At the request of certain pious women, in 1904 he began the building of his convent of the Holy Trinity on the island of Aegina, while yet dean of the Rosario School. Finding later that his presence there was needed, he took up his residence on Aegina in 1908, where he spent the last years of his life, devoting himself to the direction of his convent and to very intense prayer. He was sometimes seen lifted above the ground while wrapped in prayer. He became the protector of all Aegina, through his prayers delivering the island from drought, healing the sick, and casting out demons. Here also he endured wicked slanders with singular patience, forgiving his false accusers and not seeking to avenge himself. Although he had already worked wonders in life, an innumerable multitude of miracles had been wrought after his repose in 1920 through his holy relics, which for many years remained incorrupt. There is hardly a malady that has not been cured through his prayers. St. Nektarius is especially renowned for his healings of cancer, for sufferings in all parts of the world. O faithful, let us honor Nektarius, divine servant of Christ, offspring of Silivria, and guardian of Aegina, who in these latter years was manifest as a true friend of virtue. All manner of healing wells forth for those who in piety crowd. Glory to Christ who glorified you. Glory to him who through you wrought wonders. Glory to him who through you works healing for all. In joy, let our hearts praise the latest shining star of the Orthodox, the newly erected rampart of the Church. For glorified by the work of the Spirit, he abundantly pours forth the grace of healing to those who cried, Hail, Father Nektarius. Many saints throughout the Orthodox world are renowned in their particular areas, so it would have been natural for St. Nektarius to be well known in Athens and Aegina, but St. Nektarius is known all over the world. All the way in Japan, all the way in Jerusalem, I had seen icons depicting this great saint. May St. Nektarius, the Wonderworker of Aegina, watch over all of us. Regarding Saints Onesiphorus and Porphyrius of Ephesus, during the persecution of Diocletian and Maximian, about the year 290, Saints Onesiphorus and Porphyrius were betrayed as Christians to the persecutors. After many torments, through which they stood fast in confessing their faith, they were bound by the feet to wild horses and dragged to death. Your martyrs, O Lord, in their courageous contest for you, received as the prize the crowns of incorruption and life from you, our immortal God. For since they possessed your strength, they cast down the tyrants and wholly destroyed the demon's strengthless presumption. O Christ God, by their prayers, save our souls, as you are merciful. The martyric pair contested with great steadfastness and dashed to the earth the boasting of the enemy, were made to shine with the grace of the uncreated Trinity, and now with the angelic host the glorious martyrs pray to God for us. Regarding St. Matrona, the Abbess of Constantinople, St. Matrona was from Berga in Pamphylia and lived in the 5th century. She was wedded to a husband and bore him a daughter. After her husband's death, she entrusted her daughter to a certain woman she knew, and then passed her life in asceticism in Constantinople, living almost 100 years. While dwelling amidst men, with fasting you did waste thy flesh, and thou didst devote thyself unto unceasing prayers. Thus, Matrona, thou didst piously serve the Master, in whose behalf thou forsookest all things, O saint, and broughtest thy life to its end righteously. From the Matins Gospel. The Lord said, Watch, for you do not know on what day your Lord is coming. But know this, the householder had known in what part of the night the thief was coming. He would have watched and would not have let his house be broken into. Therefore you also must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. Who then is the faithful and wise servant, who his master has set over his household, to give them their food at the proper time? Blessed is that servant whom his master, when he comes, will find so doing. Truly I say to you, he will set him over all his possessions. St. Nektarius, the great Wonderworker of Aegina, proved himself to be such a servant. From St. Paul's letter to the Ephesians. Brethren, walk as children of light, for the fruit of light is found in all that is good and right and true, and try to learn what is pleasing to the Lord. Take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. For it is a shame even to speak of the things that they do in secret. But when anything is exposed by the light, it becomes visible, for anything that becomes visible is light. Now what this means, and especially within the context of St. Nektarius, is not for us to go, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, I'm exposing you, I'm exposing you. It means to show yourself what is right. St. Nektarius never defended himself. He lived the life of light, and by that light it exposed the darkness of evil that was around him, showed it for the lies that it was. Therefore it is said, Awake, O sleeper, and arise from the dead, and Christ shall give you light. Look carefully then how you walk, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of the time, because the days are evil. Therefore do not be foolish, but understand the will of the Lord. And do not get drunk with wine, for that is debauchery, but be filled with the Spirit, addressing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody to the Lord with all your heart. This, of course, is what St. Nektarius did with his life. The Gospel according to St. Matthew. At that time, great crowds followed Jesus from Galilee and the Decapolis and Jerusalem and Judea and from beyond the Jordan. Seeing the crowds, he went up on the mountain. When he sat down, his disciples came to him, and he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when men revile you and persecute you, and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, your reward is great in heaven. This passage is manifold for two reasons. One is the first time that God is talking to more than one person. This is where God is talking to the multitude, and not one-on-one like he does to Moses or to Abraham or the judges and the like. Second, the very first psalm, Makarios o Anir, blessed is the man. These are all attributes of Christ. Christ is that blessed man. Christ is the one who is sad but will rejoice. Christ is the man who is meek but will inherit the earth. All of these attributes we see in those that seek after becoming like Christ, who truly wish to achieve theosis. St. Nektarius did all these things. He was slandered falsely. He was meek. was a peacemaker. He did all these things for Christ our God. I invite you, if you have time, watch the movie, Man of God. It is very good. Read the books on the life of St. Nektarius, and most especially, read his writings. Eloquence is exquisite. And when you read his work, especially Christology, which he wrote during his time as the Dean of Azarius Seminary, you will understand Christ our God more than anyone else, I assure you. For those who celebrate today, all the Nektariuses and Nektarius, Chronopolat. I hope that you've enjoyed today's spiritual calisthenics. Have a blessed and wonderful day.